Hello, human. Reflective Self here with a new episode of Living Lessons, where I get to share honest insights from lived experience. Lessons that capture moments of clarity, vulnerability, and human understanding. Today's episode is all about perfection, beauty, and the deeper questions that invite us. And so here's the lesson that I've learned. Beauty may draw us in, but substance decides if we stay. Once upon a time, there was a homepage. Not because any captivating story ever started with the mention of a website. But like any story, there can be meaning to be found beneath the surface, where sometimes the smallest moments can reveal something much larger. It was many years ago. I was young, with naivety in my eyes and eagerness in my stride. I had a chance to work professionally on one of my first web projects. I remember how tuned in I was, how amped up I felt. I was locked in and ready to strike. From sunrise to sunfall, I clicked and typed away with fingers that barely left the mouse and keys. The hours became difficult to track. The coffee, that once carried a decadent aroma, turned cold and bitter. And all that seemed to exist was the work in front of me. I adjusted the spacing, refined the layout, and ever so carefully moved the elements a few pixels at a time. I was chasing symmetry, balance, polish, perfection. By the end of the day, when I finally stepped away from my desk, all I could feel was exhaustion. But when I looked back at what I had created, I felt proud. It was beautiful. The typography had personality. The imagery carried emotion. Everything seemed to breathe in just the right places. It was simply beautiful. But then a question arrived, and a simple question at that. What is a beautiful home page if it has nowhere else to go? In that moment, I realized that I had spent all day perfecting the surface while neglecting the very reason the homepage existed in the first place. I had built a door with no handle. And somewhere in me, I knew what had always been needed. I knew it all along. I just couldn't help but place beauty first. If we could trace perfectionism back to its source, I wonder if it would arrive with a thank you card or a court order. There was a time when we wore perfectionism like a badge of honor. We listed it as a strength in job applications. We expressed it through our work. We carried it in our appearance and demeanor. We even mentioned it in conversations for momentary praise. To be fair, in the beginning, perfectionism can feel incredibly rewarding, intoxicating even. We first meet a version of ourselves we never thought was possible. We are introduced to a potential we didn't know we possessed. It pushes us. It challenges us. It shows us what we are capable of when we care deeply enough. But over time, if we choose to partner with it long enough, the honeymoon period eventually fades and complications take their place. When we are not able to find a healthy balance, what first started off as care can quietly transform into something else. Attention to detail becomes hypervigilance. The desire to do well becomes a fear of failure, and the pursuit of excellence becomes an inability to finish. And somewhere along the way, burnout and anxiety become the costly consequence. Perfectionism at its height can be draining. It can slow down the process and delay execution. It keeps us spending more time on the surface, polishing what is visible, while neglecting what lies underneath. Although beauty can draw us in, it offers no sustenance to keep us there. Beauty should not be dismissed. In fact, far from it. Beauty exists all around us. It is revealed in what we create. It is revealed in our unique physical traits or the ways we express ourselves. It is even revealed in nature and all the creatures that inhabit it. Sometimes, we may encounter a painting and find ourselves drawn to its brushstrokes. Sometimes, we may find ourselves mesmerized by the color of someone's eyes or the warmth in their voice. Sometimes, we may find ourselves standing before a landscape that takes our breath away. And sometimes, that's enough. Sometimes, beauty is meant to be observed, admired, or simply breathed in and exhaled. But if we stay long enough and curious enough, beauty is not the only thing asking to be known. Curiosity starts asking questions. Why those brushstrokes? What story lives behind those speckled blue eyes? How could such a voice feel like peace itself? What other treasures can be found beyond the landscape? Some of life's most meaningful experiences begin when we are curious enough to look beyond what first caught our attention. Because beneath beauty, there is something that quietly awaits. A depth to be explored, a story to be read, an emotion to be felt, a substance that brings meaning to the surface. And if we were to end the story with a return to the home page, this is what it would reveal. I was reminded of why the design process existed. From that process, I found my way back to the what, the why, and the how. The process asked that deeper questions be answered before beauty and refinement could enter. Whether it's designing a home page or writing a masterpiece, process asks that we not worry about the first draft. It does not ask for beauty. It asks for honesty. It is a collection of notes, the messy thoughts, the disconnected pieces, the raw material. Back then, my younger self wanted to make a good impression. She wanted her first draft to arrive polished. She wanted the beauty before all else. But along the way, she came to realize that depth rarely emerges from perfection. Depth emerges from honesty. The meaning comes first, intention and clarity follow, and refinement elevates. Beauty and substance at first glance may present as opposites. One draws us in, the other invites us to stay. But what if substance is not merely what lies underneath? Perhaps what moves us most deeply is not what first catches our attention, but what we discover when we stay long enough to understand it. Perhaps substance is not just what lies underneath. Perhaps it is beauty itself. And that is the lived lesson that I've learned. It's not a universal prescription, but it is mine. Keep what stays, release what doesn't. Until next time.